What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the AEW Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of Pro Wrestling News Hub, covering pro wrestling and not sports entertainment. On this week's show, we took a look at AEW Holiday Bash, plus a first look at AEW Fantasy Wrestling, plus our top 20 wrestlers of 2020, and so much more. We have a jam-packed Christmas edition-ish, Christmas Eve edition of AEW Week in Review. Plus, we recap Dark and Dynamite and all the other stuff we normally do. So how do you get in touch with the show? You email podcast@prowrestlingnewshub.com with your MP3s or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Remember, cutoff time is 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. Plus, leave us a review on iTunes. We'll read it on the show. And if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. We really appreciate that more than you know. On this week's show, we also got a check-in from Mr. Fourth Row and Salty Sea Dog. We talk about best AEW match of 2020. I'll just tell you mine. You all know it. It was Penta versus Rey Fenix. For me, that's because I'm a Mark. Mark is a mark for Rey Fenix, so any Rey Fenix match will do. Maybe next week's Kenny Omega Rey match might top that, but I think that was the best match of the year for me. Next week's question of the week, I'll tell you right now, breakout stars of AEW in 2021. So that's right. Next week's question I want to hear from you is, who do you think is going to be the breakout stars for AEW in 2021? Is it going to be a guy like Wardlow? Is it going to be Ricky Starks? Who is it going to be? It's not going to be Luther, and it's not going to be Colt Cabana. I'll just tell you that right now. I've been hating on them. I've been so mean. I need to get in the Christmas spirit is what I need to do and stop being so mean. But that's how I feel. So anyway, without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was AEW. All right, let's get into our AEW Dynamite results for just before Christmas, the 12/23 edition that came on late after NBA basketball, which was a great game, by the way. If you didn't watch NBA basketball, you could have watched a good game. So first up, we had Chris Jericho and MJF versus Top Flight, Darius and Dante Martin. This one, and there was a lot of reaction to the basketball Twitter sphere about the shape of Chris Jericho. I guess fans hadn't seen him in a while, and I was thinking it too. I was like, come on, man. We need to work on your shape there. But this was a good match. I figured they would start with Chris Jericho. Winner, Chris Jericho and MJF. I gave this a 3.50. I mean, just, run-of-the-mill match. I mean, Top Flight looked fantastic. They are a great team and so young and talented, one of the better tag teams in AEW. So this, to kick it off, I figured they would go with Chris Jericho. Just Chris Jericho needs to really consider where he's going with AEW and wrestling, because, I mean, he's just looking not that great. MJF was good, and after the match, we got a Jake Hager challenge Wardlow on next week's Dynamite, and I am super excited about that. I think that's going to be a great match for next week's New Year's Smash Part 1 or Night 1. Then we get the Sting interview. He comes out talking all sorts of stuff about the jungle, and then Team Taz comes and interrupts. So where is this going to head? We'll learn more as time goes on, but it's great to hear from Sting. Fans got a good reaction. Next, we have a segment with MJF, Santana Ortiz. We know Santana was out because a family member passed away, and I guess MJF talked about a family member of his passed away recently as well, and they kind of came together. So it was an interesting bonding thing, some respect between the two. I wonder where this is kind of going to head. It wasn't like MJF was being bad after Santana and Ortiz walked out of the room or made a face or anything. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but could we see some alliance with these guys coming soon? Next, we got Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, and Luchasaurus versus Dark Order, Colt Cabana, who can get fired, 5 and 10. If you want to check out a good AEW Unrestricted podcast, recently the Jurassic Express was on it. Winner, Jurassic Express. I give this a 3.75, one of the better matches of the night. I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I like Jurassic Express. They're a great team, and then Dark Order as well. Could care less about Colt Cabana, and maybe we could let him go. FTR then challenges Jurassic Express to a match on January 6th when we get Jurassic Express versus FTR, which should be a good match. Looking forward to that. Kenny Omega checks in with Don Callis, talking all sorts of smack about Rey Fenix and their match on December 30th, which should be a fantastic match. You all know Rey Fenix. He's one of my faves. Next up, we got Pac and the Butcher. Pac and the Butcher, the Bastard. This was a good match as well. Pac is the winner. I gave it a 3.75. I like the Butcher did well. Pac did good. I mean, he's one of the better wrestlers in the promotion. And the storytelling with Eddie Kingston and then Lance Archer comes out and all this kind of stuff goes on. So are we going to get Pac, Lance Archer? Are we going to get Lance Archer, Eddie Kingston? Where's all that storyline going? We'll just have to find out. But winner Pac gave this a 3.75. Next up, we get Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford announced their wedding date. It will be February 3rd at Beach Break. Beach Break? Why is there a beach something in February? But okay, I think maybe they did that last year. They had a nice little segment with Miro there, trolling Tony Schiavone, which was pretty funny. And then also they beat up Trent from Best Friends. And so it was a nice little segment there. So we get that official February 3rd, which should be I like how they do these themed episodes. They work well. Next, Jade Cargill checks in. Not really sure what they're going to do about Brandy Rhodes, but she was still talking trash about Brandy. We'll see where that goes. Evil Luno versus Dustin Rhodes. This was also a good match. And see, Dustin is not somebody that I'm like, oh, he's old. Like, we need to get rid of him. Like, he's fine on the roster. Keeping him on the roster. I loved how they explained the whole number 7. Apparently 7 had to do with a gimmick he was going to use in WCW and refused to do it. This was a good match. Winner, Dustin Rhodes. I gave this a 3.75 as well. Better than the other ones, but this was a good match too. A veteran guy and an Evil Uno. I didn't realize Evil Uno was that young. I thought he was like in his 30s, but apparently he was in his 20s or something they had mentioned. But a good match. Good storytelling there. Shawn Spears checks in, and this was surprising because he said he was leaving wrestling. Now, this is a guy that I'm not like, that I feel like he should get a bigger push in AEW. He shouldn't leave. I mean, you can get rid of Colt Cabana, and you can get rid of, and I know Tony Khan isn't doing it because of the pandemic, but there are guys on this roster that they can get rid of, and Shawn Spears and Dustin Rhodes aren't two guys that you should get rid of. I'm not really sure. Spears is just kind of floating there. He came out hot. Where his character is going to go, I know Tony Khan likes him. He's not going anywhere. Well, we'll see what happens with Shawn Spears. Hikaru Sheeta versus Alex Gracia. She got the win on Dark, and then she gets to face Hikaru Sheeta. This was a good match. Winner Hikaru Sheeta. I gave this a 3.25. I mean, there were some spots with Alex Garcia that kind of were a little fumbly, but Hikaru Sheeta was able to pick up really kind of make everything work. Later, we got Abaddon comes out and bites, which is kind of a little over the top, bites Hikaru Sheeta. Is she going to turn Hikaru Sheeta into, there was blood on the side. It was kind of like, okay. And then they, pictures afterwards of her being treated we'll see where this goes. But it would be funny if Hikaru Sheeta turned into a zombie or something. But we'll see. This will be a good match as well. Abaddon still needs some work in the ring, though. Then finally, your tag match. This was my elite match of the night. The Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson versus the Acclaimed, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. I gave this one a 4. The Young Bucks took the win. However, the only reason why it's a 4 is because it's the Young Bucks. The Acclaim could be canceled, and no one would care. I don't see anything. There is about a dry, vanilla gimmick as I can think. The rapping thing doesn't work for me. Actually, and it's not even like I couldn't even explain. It's almost like doing eating your prayers and eating your vitamins gimmick. Like John Cena did this, and it also faded away because it only lasted so long. I don't understand why they got a big main event push. I hope out of all the tag teams in AEW, this is probably my least favorite. I mean, you're talking. I'd take Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. over these guys. I mean, the Acclaim and maybe Luther and Serpentico, Chaos Project, and that's just because Luther's terrible. But I do like Serpentico. Like, I don't understand why these guys are getting a push. Like, and your main evented them. They showed me nothing of interest other than that they're just a generic tag team. Like, there was nothing special about them. Top Flight, yeah, there's a lot of things special about them. Jurassic Express, Best Friends, anybody from Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver. It's like, you can give me any of those. But these two guys, you would have been much better off with a Dark Order tag than with the Acclaimed. I'm not really sure what Tony Khan sees in them, but clearly they're one of my least favorite. And there's like least favorite, but they're good at being your least favorite, and just least favorite because they're just not that great. And the Acclaimed is absolutely that. I see nothing in them. Maybe I'll be wrong, but clearly just could care less. So the Young Bucks got the win, and I gave it a 4 because the Young Bucks made it interesting, because I was like, okay, here's your chance to shine, Acclaimed. And it was just, they were just vanilla. Anybody could have done what they did. There was nothing special about them, and I'm just not a fan of the Acclaimed at all. Overall, considering everything with the NBA game and having this being on afterwards, it was still a good show, and it was still fun to watch. As always, AEW is always fun to watch. But next week's show is going to be real good. Card for next week's AEW Dynamite, the December 30th edition, the New Year's Smash Night 1. First up, we got these two special shows. We got the December 30th and then January 6th. Both of them are live, so this not being taped. So the wrestlers are going to stay in town, have a nice little New Year's Eve bash, and then get right at to it for another live show. And after January 6th, we have no idea what's coming. There's been no announcements or anything about their schedule. But first off, of course, we get Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix. Super looking forward to this. Kenny Omega is awesome. Rey Fenix is awesome. Probably my favorite wrestler in AEW right now. So to see them two go at it, that should be a lot of fun. And then one that I thought we were going to get not a while from now, like a while from now, but we're getting it next week. Jake Hager versus Wardlow. That's going to be a good match. Two bulls, as Jim Ross put it on Dynamite last night, going at it, which will be great. Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon. This is really get a chance to see Abaddon's wrestling skill. Her character gimmick is fantastic. It's just whether the wrestling skill is there to back it up. So I'm hoping that we get a great match out of this one, and maybe we get that grade into that 3.5, 3.7 range. It's possible. Also, Jon Moxley returns. I was thought maybe we wouldn't see him for a while, but he'll be back. Where's his character going to go now that he's already done his run? What if Jon Moxley had his own faction going into 2021, since he might be in and out with the Bebe coming on the way? Also, in 2 weeks for New Year's Smash Night 2, TNT Championship match, Darby Allin versus Brian Cage, which I think will be. I'm looking forward to Darby Allin, Ricky Starks more than anything else. Darby Allin, Ricky Starks, but I'll take a Darby Allin, Brian Cage. And where Sting's involvement in this with Taz, who knows? Also, Cody Rhodes versus Matt Sydal, the Go Big Show match. I don't know what that's all about. Matt Sydal is in there, and I'm sure that's the one that commentating. I guess they just wanted to do a high-flying, exciting match, so they put Matt Sydal in there. And so we'll get Snoop Dogg being around as well. And that's your card for next week's New Year's Smash Night 1. AEW Dark Results for December 22nd. First up, we got Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus defeating Bear Country. Nyla Rose defeating Tesha Price. Miro defeating Sunny Kiss. Special holiday edition with Dr. Britt Baker in the waiting room. Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels have agreed that if they lose one more match, they will split as a team. I thought this was a real nice little twist to happen on AEW Dark. We'll see where that goes. That's very interesting. Thunder Rosa defeated Jasmine Allure. Good to see Rosa out there. Stu Grayson defeated Lee Johnson. And Lee Johnson is good wrestler. Alex Gracia defeated Kaylin King, and that was able to give her the match against Hikaru Sheeta this week. Pretty Peter Avalon defeated Mike Verna. Red Velvet defeated Vert Vixen. Cool, new name out there. Dark Order, Alan Angels, Preston Vance, and Colt Cabana. Colt can go. Defeated Aaron Solo. Fuego del Sol, one of our favorites, and Ray Jazz, making his, I think maybe he was around. Layla Hirsch defeated Maddie Renkowski. Maddie making her debut in AEW. The Gun Club, Austin and Colton, without Dad, defeated Terrell Hughes and Terrence Hughes in a tag match. Ray Phoenix, my man, defeated Danny Limelight in a match. Matt Sydal defeated Serpentico, and that wraps up AEW Dark for this week. Ratings are in for the December 23rd edition of Dynamite and NXT, according to Showbuzz Daily. AEW finished 5th overall for the night. Dynamite drew 775,000 viewers, down from last week's 806,000 viewers. They finished 3rd overall last week. Dynamite, of course, was taped this week at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. The show did not start until 10:04 p.m. That was after the NBA game on TNT, and it still finished 5th. The show featured the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed match. That is good. Remember, they didn't start till 10:04. Now, granted, the NBA gave them a nice little lead-in, and still to stay in that 700,000 range shows you how loyal the AEW fans are. NXT drew 698,000 viewers, down from last week's 766,000 viewers. It finished 40th overall. Last week, they finished 34th. The show featured the main event of Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream. The show had no competition from AEW and still did lower than last week. They had nobody. Did they not take any AEW watchers with them at all this week? That's really bad. You had no competition from AEW, and NXT ratings went down. Total combined wrestling audiences for both shows was down, 1.473 million viewers. It was at 1.572 million last week, so they lost a lot of viewers. Based on the ratings, news programming took 7 of the top 15 spots, CNN taking 6 of them. MSNBC was the other one. Fox News' highest rated show was at number 42. Remember, we've done this all year, and we were always, Fox News was the top 7 shows, news programs, and now their best show for the night was number 42. The NBA on TNT, of course, won the night, followed by MTV's Challenge Double Agent, came in at number 3, and a college bowl game, who knows what, are they doing that now, I guess still? That came in on ESPN at number 4, and in the 50-plus demo, AEW had 28, which was slightly down from last week. So the ratings were good, all things considered. The day before Christmas Eve, an NBA game, college football game, people traveling, and it still maintained its kind of average 700 and plus thousand viewers. That is great news for AEW. Next week, without this time shift, it'll be interesting and a big show. Could they get back and move up again to that 800 to 900,000 viewers next week? We will find out, and it's sure to be a good show. All Elite Wrestling files for 2 new trademarks. This was reported by Heel by Nature. They filed the trademarks with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. They're the United States of America. Okay, they filed the trademark for AEW Elevation. Could that be the new name of the new show? As well as AEW Dark. So names were trademarks filed for the purposes of entertainment and production of a wrestling program and events. So is AEW Elevation the new AEW show? Of course, it's pretty surprising that they didn't already sign up AEW Dark. So that stays. We'll just have to wait. These trademarks were filed on December 16th. So could this be the new name of the new show? We'll have to find out. The Lucha Bros have signed new contracts with AEW, so that's Pentagon El Zero and Rey Fenix, one of my favorites. Both signed new contracts with AEW. The deals reportedly took place in August, cementing the Lucha Brothers as a fixture in AEW until at least the summer of 2021. While it's not confirmed exactly how long the contract is, it is reported that MJF recently signed a long-term 5-year deal. So we'll see if these guys are also on that kind of level. The Lucha Brothers have been wrestling for both AEW and AAA and currently hold the AAA World Tag Team Champions. AAA and AEW have a working relationship together, therefore their contract extensions won't have any negative effects on the promotion. Super excited to make sure that these guys definitely stay in AEW for a long time. Congratulations to Red Velvet. She got engaged to Gerald Briscoe's son, Wes Briscoe. That's right. Oftentimes in pro wrestling, we hear about these star-crossed lovers. So AEW women's star Red Velvet and indie star Wes Briscoe, son of WWE Hall of Famer and absolute legend in the business, Gerald Briscoe, they got engaged. They took to Instagram and their Twitter accounts and announced that she was engaged. Congratulations to them. I'm not really sure. Wes Briscoe is best known for his time in Impact Wrestling as a member of Aces of Eights and Eights. He currently performs for Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling and continues to work the independent circuit. So congratulations to the both of them. On Thursday, August 6th, AEW filed the trademark for Stadium Stampede match name, which was used in the main event of AEW's 2020 Double or Nothing pay-per-view, which took place on May 23rd. It was a classic. Remember that, the Bucks against Jericho and the Inner Circle, the whole deal. Unfortunately, AEW has been facing some issues with the patent trademark office regarding Stadium Stampede. First issue is the word stadium, as according to Heel by Nature, it must have a disclaimer indicating it is being used simply as a descriptive word. AEW has given a suggestion that the new application should include the phrase "no claim is made to the exclusive rights to use stadium apart from the mark as shown." The other issue is due to WWE having a trademark for the Spring Stampede name in it. It was filed back in January of 2019. That has yet to be approved. This past December 3rd, AEW did the first step in trying to secure the rights to the trademark to the Stadium Stampede name by fulfilling the trademark office first request and submitting an application. Stated that they don't have the exclusive rights to use the word stadium. Despite this, the trademark office still thinks that All Elite Wrestling has failed to argue why they should be giving a wrestling-related trademark using the word stampede. Interesting. And this past December 7th, the trademark office would go ahead and suspend AEW's filing for the trademark. The WWE, on the other hand, has until March 2021 to update the trademark for the Spring Stampede, or it will be abandoned. So they might have to change that name and call it something else. Here's Pro Wrestling News Hub's top 20 AEW wrestlers of 2022 as compiled by our own Joe Turner. These are the wrestlers. Now remember, this is the course of the whole year at AEW of kind of where they rank, not just what's happened over the last couple of weeks. Let's get started. Kick off the list at number 20, Best Friends. We all know the Santana-Ortiz match. That was a big thing for them. Number 19, the Young Bucks. They've been kind of quiet. Now, of course, that they're the champions. That's going to change definitely in 2021. Lance Archer had a couple title runs, kind of had some big matches throughout the year. He comes in at number 18. Number 17, Serena Deeb comes on the scenes, probably one of the best female wrestlers they have. She doesn't really show off her persona so much as just that she's a good wrestler and has really helped the women's division. Number 16, Jungle Boy, kind of one of our AEW homegrown talents. He's had some big matches this year, teaming with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt for the Jurassic Express has been good. Number 15, FTR. They came on the scene, won the tag team titles. They were a big factor in 2020. Number 14, Taz. Not a wrestler on the roster. a guy who has had a huge impact with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, and now Will Hobbs on his team, plus on commentary. So he's been a big factor in 2020. Number 13, Adam Hangman Page, no question about here, tag team champions. Now his whole deal with run with Dark Order, his drinking things, all a big deal in 2020. Number 12, MJF, Mr. Ringman, Mr. Joining the Inner Circle. Those are two big things and some big matches. So we got MJF at 12. Sammy Guevara comes in at number 11, the Spanish God. His Inner Circle stuff, his getting run over, all those things this year are a big year for Sammy Guevara. Number 10, Nyla Rose. She was, while only holding the AEW Women's title for a little while, she has been a cornerstone of the women's division and the biggest heel, really, in the women's division right now. Number 9, Rey Fenix, one of my favorite top 3 wrestlers in AEW. All his in-ring ability, he was a big workhorse, having show-stopping matches all year with Penta, and now culminating at the end of the year against Kenny Omega. Rey Fenix, of course, one of my favorites, but he comes in at number 9. Number 8, Darby Allin, the skateboarding guy, now the TNT champion. He's had a big year. His vignettes have been different, and they've been building him, so Darby's had a big year. Number 7, Eddie Kingston, best guy on the mic, the Mad King. He's been impressive. Get the big title match against Jon Moxley. So Eddie Kingston is a big character. Now that Pac is back, though, I'm not really sure where he's going to go. If he's just the voice of the Butcher and the Blade, he needs more. Number 6, Ricky Starks came out of nowhere. Charisma, teaming up with Taz. They compare him to The Rock. I definitely think Ricky Starks had a huge year in AEW, and I think his stock will continue to grow. Number 5, Cody Rhodes, one of the pillars of AEW, TNT champion. He had the open challenge, great matches against Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, Darby Allin. Everything's going on with him. Cody Rhodes at 5. 4, Chris Jericho. Really, there would be no AEW, honestly, without him in his first run with the championship, with the Inner Circle, getting guys over like Orange Cassidy. Chris Jericho had a big year. Number 3, Orange Cassidy, one of the biggest stars in AEW, guy that always people are interested in and wanted more and more of. He expanded his character this year. He is more than just this gimmick. He's a great wrestler in the ring, the King of Sloth style, as he says. He's a big pro wrestling t-shirt seller, and people dress up as him, so you cannot deny that how big Orange Cassidy is. Number 2, Kenneth Omega, of course, now the TNT champion, the AEW champion, best bout machine. Now he is, tag champion for a while there with Hangman Adam Page, and now converting. I could definitely see him being the number 1 guy in all of wrestling next year, but he is at number 2. Big year for him. And of course, number 1, the guy who was holding the title the whole time, Jon Moxley, comes in at number 1. Of course, the top wrestler in the industry right now. Get a much-deserved break. He's beat everybody in AEW. Brody Lee, Lance Archer, Darby Allin, Eddie Kingston, you name it. And great matches. And really the big flag bearer of AEW, and has built up that championship mystique, and now it's Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley ends your list. So to recap real quick, number 20, Best Friends, 19, Young Bucks, 18, Lance Archer, 17, Serena Deeb, 16, Jungle Boy, 15, FTR, 14, Taz, 13, Adam Hangman Page, 12, MJF, 11, Sammy Guevara, 10, Nyla Rose, 9, Rey Fenix, 8, Darby Allin, 7, Eddie Kingston, 6, Ricky Starks, 5, Cody Rhodes, 4, Chris Jericho, 3, Orange Cassidy, 2, Kenny Omega and Turtle Doves, and a partridge in a pear tree, number 1, Jon Moxley. So let us know what you think of this list. Is there somebody missing in this list? Or is there somebody that shouldn't be in this list? Let us know in the comments or leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. It'll be interesting to see what 2021 brings for all these guys in AEW. All right, let's take a look at our first look of the AEW Fantasy Wrestling game, brought to you by Pro Wrestling News Hub. Now remember, this is the alpha testing phase, so this is very, very not the full scope, not tested 100%. And on the homepage, it says, welcome to the home of AEW Fantasy Wrestling, this weekly game where you draft and pick your lineups every week, and the AEW wrestlers compete on Dynamite and AEW Dark. They score you points on appearing on TV and match wins. Play against AEW fans or your friends. Join a league now. You have to get started. You can view current leagues, see what leagues are out there, and of course, we'll have a video tutorial for all of that stuff, and you register at the top. Right, or you log in. We're just going to log in with my master account, I call it. First up, once you log in, you can see at the top where it now it picks basically the first league you're in. You can play in multiple leagues if you want. It's got your account, and of course, I got an admin section because I'm the admin of the site. So you can click on the top. It takes you to your league profile page. So we just call this this league Master League. I created a bunch of dev accounts so you can see here. So their lineups are set. So basically what happens, you select 8 wrestlers for your lineup each week. Lineups are locked to Monday at midnight, and waiver pickups are from Friday through Saturday. We'll play around with that. So you can take a look at my team. I have Kenny Omega, Lance Archer, Luchasaurus, Rey Fenix, Sammy Guevara, Fuego del Sol, John Silver, Miro, and on my bench I got Hikaru Sheeta, Penta, Penelope Ford, and John Moxley. Clearly, I've been testing stuff. So you can see this week, now that's on the middle column. On the right column, you can see my current lineup for the week. So Kenny Omega got me 0 points. Lance Archer got me 0. Luchasaurus got me 14. Rey Fenix got me 4. Sammy got nothing. Fuego del Sol got me 1. John Silver nothing. And Miro got me 4. So that gives me 23 points for the week. And you can see on my left of all the league members, 1, 2, 3, I'm in 4th place. I've got 100 points, even though I can cheat the system. Also, you have on the side, you have a league chat as well as your settings. You can change your team name if you want, and there's other settings we'll put in here. On the bottom of the middle part under my team, there's total points. And now you can see Luchasaurus got me 10 points on Dynamite. They got he appeared on Dynamite and also got the win. So that got me 4 points. And then he appeared on Dark also and got me an appearance and a win as well. So that's why Luchasaurus had 14 points. Rey Fenix appeared on Dark and also got the win on Dark, got 4 points. Fuego got 1 point because he appeared on Dark but lost. And then Miro also appeared on Dark and got an appearance and a win. You can set the scoring system as you want based on your league, so the league manager can set the scoring. Also, on the right-hand side, you got league notifications. So, like, I dropped Miro. Actually, this is a mess up. I dropped Kip Sabian and picked up Miro, and it gives you the date so people on your league can see that. Also, I traded with another team. They sent me John Silver, and I traded them Tay Conte. So you can make trades, too, with other people in the league. And you can see that a trade was proposed, sending John Silver in exchange for Tay Conte. And that's how you can do trades. So your lineups are locked. Once the lineups are open, you'll see the current lineup will all zero out. And then you can drag and drop your lineup that you want, and then it will go into lock. You also have the ability to make trades and waiver pickups during those couple days as well. And that's basically it. There's more stuff we're going to add. We have a chat also on the side so fans can interact with each other. You can see other team members' names, so you can see this league member who's winning. He's got 126 points. Now, granted, I've been playing and making changes to the system, so therefore the points aren't that exactly right. So you can see here that he hasn't gotten any points because he's had Alex Reynolds, Angelico, Brian Cage, Britt Baker, Clutch Adams, Cody Rhodes, Frankie Kazarian, and Griff Garrison. I've been this person's lineup, and they haven't gotten him any points. So you could see why he's got 0. One of the things I'm going to try to build into the system is when people aren't participating, maybe based on their ADP. So if they didn't log in for a week or two, I might go in and either send them a gentle reminder, and then after a while let the computer pick the best lineup. But still, that would be hard to do. But you can see here like Baron Blade, Billy Gunn, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho got him 10 points, and Dustin Rhodes got him 10 points because they got wins on Dynamite this past week. So you can kind of see how your teammates are doing. And that's basically the beginnings of this system. It will evolve. It will get bigger. There's a whole draft piece of the puzzle that happens every quarter. So you get to draft new players. We'll deal with, franchising guys and other things like that. There's a whole draft process we'll show at some point. But this is the beginnings, the alpha version of AEW Fantasy Wrestling, brought to you by Pro Wrestling News Hub. Look for January 4th. For January 4th, you'll get your chance to head over to fantasy.prowrestlingnewshub.com to sign up yourself and invite your friends to play along, or you can actually join leagues that are open that are looking for players too. So this is the alpha version of AEW Fantasy Wrestling. Did you know you can get all the latest AEW news right from your phone? That's right, we're excited to announce the Pro Wrestling News Hub app. That's right, and it's free. You can get it for your iPhone. You can get it for your Google Android phone. And they're both free. You get all our breaking AEW news, information from Pro Wrestling News Hub right from your phone. You can just visit the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. What do you get? You get the latest news from Pro Wrestling News Hub. You get push notifications when a new post or story comes out. You get our podcast on the phone. You can leave us a review on iTunes, links to our social media, and so much more. All you have to do is, if you have an iPhone, go to the iTunes store and just look up Pro Wrestling News Hub and download it. Just type in AEW News. You can get our phone app, and guess it is free, my friends. It's free. So head over. You get all the latest news right from your phone, from your friends from Pro Wrestling News Hub, whether you have an iPhone or an Android. And it's best of all, it's free. All right, let's get to our social media stuff. First, Sleeping Collectibles, talking about last week's podcast, saying this was a fun listen. Thanks. Well, thank you very much. Also, Yusuf Adam talking about our Pro Wrestling News Hub's top 20 AEW wrestlers of 2020. He says, of course, and gives a thumbs up. I think I like our list too. On the Twitters, talking about last week's ratings, AEW fan page 01 says, for an average filler episode with no hot-shotting, it's good. Clearly, they're sticking to the plan and not affected by what other companies are doing. That was last week's, the 16th rating. Mr. Fourth Row, talking about the crowd was dead on last week's episode. It was snowing in Maryland. Let's go, Florida. He says, 59? In Denver, I bicycle in 40-degree weather. If I lived in the area, I would be at each show too. Yes. Same with us, man. Same with us. AEW fan page on Ethan Page has reportedly had talks with Top Promotions. Says, I don't think AEW needs to sign any more male wrestlers. I kind of agree with you there. They already have a stacked male division. Perhaps if a prominent female wrestler was available, it'd make sense in signing her. And I think that's, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Ethan Page or Colt Cabana on your squad? Would you rather have Ethan Page or Luther on your squad? Clearly, you'd rather have Ethan Page. So come on, let's go. We need to. There's definitely some jettison of some guys going in 2021. I think we'll see a lot of releases once things open up, hopefully in the summertime. Talking about last night's AEW Dynamite at Frankie32110-332. We asked what match are you looking forward to the most. He said Chris Jericho MJF versus Top Flight. Us as well. That was I mean, more Top Flight than Chris Jericho, but that was probably more the match that I was looking forward to the most. Pleasantly surprised with a couple other ones, including Jurassic Express and Dark Order. let's go now to the emailers and check in with our pal, Salty Sea Dog. He says, to answer your question for my match of AEW Match of the Year, I am picking a sleeper. Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee at Double or Nothing. It was a very hard-hitting match, and the paradigm shift on the ramp was amazing with Brody coming out of it all bloody. I love the end that Moxley had put Brody to sleep. Yeah, that was a good match as well. That was a good one. I'll give you that. The best thing out of Dark was SC Ultimatum, that the next time they lose as a tag team, they will break up. It makes sense for Frankie to want Daniels to be better. That's true. I mean, remember, they were the original AEW tag team champions, and maybe it's time to move on. But what does Frankie do without Christopher Daniels? And clearly Scorpio is ready to go on a singles run. Again, another guy. Why have Colt Cabana? Why don't you have Scorpio Sky in Dark Order? At least we could see him a little bit more. With saying that I like how every wrestler matters, as was the case with Shawn Spears on Dynamite, saying he deserves better. I agree, he does. Me too. Also from Dark, the tag team Bear Country was looking strong. I saw a little bit of their match the last 2 weeks. I did think that most of Dark women's matches were extremely sloppy. Yeah, I mean, they just have these like moments where they were kind of sloppy. Even the Hikaru Shida, Alex Gracia match, there was a couple moments where I was like, eh. He says Dynamite was okay, but not as strong as in weeks past. I actually thought the best thing was Kenny and Don's interview. Kenny is leaning into his heel character. Yes, I think Kenny Omega is going to be the biggest star in wrestling in 2021, and they are pushing him to the moon, as they should. He is the best wrestler in the world, so he should be pushed to the moon right now. It wasn't a strong show, but you're not going to break out all the big guns because of the instability of when it was going to go. I mean, that NBA game could have went into overtime. It looks like they're pointing towards Sting helping Darby for now against Team Taz. I hope they hold off on Sting's in-ring return for the pay-per-view. I would hold off on Sting's in-ring return to like this summer, like when you can have a full house. It really looks like Jericho needs to get in shape. It might be time for him to be a part-time wrestler. He is not looking good. You saw what happened. We've discussed Twitter's world blowing up. I mean, Jericho was trending. And I've mentioned this for a while now. Like, dude, like what's the deal? Like, either you're in or you're not. And if it's just injuries and you need to move on like a Matt Hardy. Again, would you rather have Ethan Page using Scream Time or Matt Hardy? Another guy that I'm like, I love Matt Hardy and I love what Chris Jericho has brought to AEW, but I'm like, dude, you need to stop doing whatever you're doing. The best match was the main event. The Young Bucks really gets you invested in their matches again, and I think because whatever they're called sucks. Stack card for next week. Here's hoping that Abaddon wins the belt. Oh, he wants Abaddon to win the belt. I don't think so. I think Hikaru Shida keeps it. I would be surprised, and that would be kind of cool. I could see it happening. I just don't know what Abaddon's in-ring acumen is at this point. But I do know who has got good wrestling acumen, and that's Mr. Fourth Row.
It's a go for another phone call there from Mr. Fourth Row. Hey, AEW Weekend Review and Mr. Mark. So let's talk about your opinion of the best matches for 2021. for All Elite Wrestling. Now, I'm going to throw a little bit of a wrench into it, and I'm going to have a men's match, a women's match, and in this particular case, since I was fortunate enough to attend live event before everything got turned upside down in this crazy world, I'm going to pick one of those as well. So let's talk about what I think was the best match when it came to the men per se, and that is going to be the Stadium Stampede match. I thought that was just flat out entertaining, and so much stuff that they threw at us in there, and just the utter chaos and entertainment that we had in that match, and the amount of creativity that was put into that, and just everything that was kind of mixed in and thrown out for us for that match, the Double or Nothing back in May of this year. Women's match. I'm going to go for the championship rematch when it comes to Rio and Nyla Rose, when Nyla captured the championship back in February. I think that was a great match. It was a lot of back and forth in that, and the proverbial David and Goliath storyline that we had. I think it was definitely something to do and there, and great to start getting the women's championship kind of a little bit. Give it some growth from there. So I think that's a great point, and hopefully we'll get to see Rio soon again once all this world gets calmed down. All right, and then my bonus pick for the match that I enjoyed the most, my favorite that I got to attend in person, and this may or may not be a big surprise to the listeners, but that's going to be the dark match that Abaddon took on Sheeta way back in March 4th, when AEW was touring the country. From there, they went down to Salt Lake City, but here in Denver, they were there that week of March 4th, taped of course, the Dark, and then had the live Dynamite on that Wednesday. So that's going to be mine. And then let me wrap this up. For everybody, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. I'm hoping that everything is well in your world, and I know that this crazy year of 2020 has been difficult and hard. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned this year is it is truly about what you have, what you can appreciate, and what you make of it. And I feel blessed to be able to contribute to this podcast, as well as everything else that I've been able to do in the wrestling community with my other ventures outside of this podcast. So want to thank you all. And then, of course, as always, that is my view, not from the cheap seats, not from the most expensive seats, but from the fourth row.
All right, Mr. Fourth Row checking in. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Fourth Row, Salty Sea Dog, and everybody that part of the Pro Wrestling News Hub, AEW Week in Review community. We really appreciate everybody's input, and it's just been a lot of fun. As much as the pandemic has sucked the life out of everything, we've been able to do the podcast. We've been able to innovate, bring fantasy wrestling to life in this year. As far as your matches go, I mean, Stadium Stampede and Riho versus Nyla Rose, I'm with you on all of those things. Abaddon, I'm leaning on Mr. Fourth Row to tell me that Abaddon and Sheeta is going to have a good match, because if that's his match of the year going back in the day, then I'm definitely looking forward to their match coming up next week. which will be fun. So remember, if you want to be part of the show, email podcast at Pro Wrestling News Hub with your MP3s or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Cutoff time 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. And plus, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we really appreciate if you do that as well. Again, you can listen to us anywhere on podcasts, show notes, prowrestlingnewshub.com/AEW-podcast, and join our Discord to get involved with the AEW fantasy stuff. We'll have it there. And enjoy your holiday. That's it for me, folks. Remember, enjoy your Christmas. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. I promised I would give you a sneak peek of AEW Fantasy Wrestling. We have that and hey, man, let's just get this year over with and get on to 2021 where big things are coming for this site, this podcast, and for you guys out there as well. So thanks for listening. Mahalo. God bless. Merry Christmas. Stay safe out there. Put that mask on just a little bit longer, and I will see you all later.